Hey guys, this is Dan again, recording a match between ChumpChange and hdu88 in the fabulous game of Puzzle Strike. Um, Again, hdu88 is testing a proposed nerf to Val. The nerf is to the chip burst of speed. We're restricting it so that you can't play it unless her pile totals 6 or more. It's kind of necessary because Val is just utterly dominating the top levels of play at the moment. So we'll see how this set goes using that nerf. Let's get a shot of the pool. Let's see the relevant chips here. Combo practice is definitely a strong chip for Val. I've seen HDU make fantastic use of it before. We'll see how well he does doing it without Gem Essence. Let's see, there's Trap, which can change games in interesting ways. We'll see if either player makes a shot at abusing that. Potentially Mix Master, but then there's Self-Improvement too, which is a really big deal against Arg. Looks like Chumpy, he wins the roll and he starts right away with Hex. Let's have a look at what his starting draw is. Looks like he drew both Crash and Hex. That's kind of a draw that Arg isn't happy with. He usually likes to get his Crash and his Hex in separate hands because it helps him to survive a lot if he can play both of them. But early game it makes a big difference to give them one wound. It'll affect them a lot of times as it cycles through the deck. So it makes sense to play Hex, I think. Anyways, HDU starts off right away getting a self-improvement, which is going to be a very effective thing against Arg in the long run. The main is passable, you can trash the wounds, but really if ChumpChange stumbles into the reaction effect on that, it could do big things for HDU. Looks like we have Pro Ward to Bubble Shield. Pro Ward's really only going to affect HDU if you wanted to play both Creative Thoughts and Chromatic Orb, and I'm not convinced he does. Now this is a very interesting buy by Chumpy. He just bought Thinking Ahead. That's definitely questionable in this position. HDU doesn't have any reds on his side. Now I'll blow up the chip Thinking Ahead if you want to read it. The main effect is generally considered really terrible. The reaction can do pretty useful things a lot of the time, but he can't use it if there's nothing to react to in HDU's deck. So we'll see where the hell he's going with this. I'm really curious. Creative Thoughts here is played for money draw. Makes sense because he doesn't, whatever that last chip in his bag is, it can't be something that HDU was that excited to draw anyway. Alright, so he's playing Thinking Ahead on the main. Well, he has 4 money, so conveniently he can go ahead and buy a chip like Combine that would be really wonderful to put on top of his bag. So you can always use the main by getting lucky like that, but if he'd only pulled 3 money with Thinking Ahead, I'm not sure if he'd even play it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see for more developments on what he's doing with that chip. Creative Thoughts for draw money. Oh my, that's a lot of money. 6 for Val. Let's see what she does with it. The only 6 cost chip in the pool is one of each, so this could easily warrant a buy of maybe a crash gem. Looks like HDU is going with a combine, probably a better choice if he wants to rush Arg, which is the canonical way to win against him. Let's check his discard. No self-improvement, so it makes sense that Chumpy's not playing Hex. That would make HDU really happy at the moment. HDU goes for the counter crash. Since it is a rush, it's a little bit of an odd choice to see him counter crashing there. But it makes sense because it won't reduce the amount he draws by next turn to counter crash, since he's going to ante back up to 3, and he did get a bit of a slower start with self-improvement. So, oh, and especially it lets him trash his wound main phase, which is a nice thing. It looks like Val might actually at this point even get forced into playing Econ in the face of all these wounds, since she can get rid of them. She's bought a good number of gems. We'll see if anything comes of it, or if she just ends up mass buying her purples later and trying to kill ChumpChange. But I guess Chumpy's thinking ahead buy has appeared to dissuade HDU from using any red chips. Maybe that was the intended effect? I'm still baffled by that, honestly. Big pause before the buy there, but it ends up being what we all expect anyway. Main phase self-improvement again, trashing a 1 because he has already gotten rid of all his wounds. So you look at this discard, his money density is going up quite a bit. Yes, Econ Val could end up being a force to be reckoned with even with this burst of speed nerf. Now Chumpy has a lot of money, so he's thinking ahead is likely to hit valuable chips that he buys. So he gets to throw one of each on top of his bag this turn. And now between that and thinking ahead, he may be able to set up his draws quite nicely by having continual streams of pigs. Five money and HDU gets a second combine. It puts the combine count at 2-2. I think Chumpy may have the slightly better economy, but if he tries to play his hex chip, it could backfire a lot. 7 money, he's climbing the econ ladder slowly. Another one of each. That makes sense. The 4 gems seems like overkill at this point. He doesn't want to end up with a deck totally bloated with gems. He'd just kind of like to lockbox out one 8 money draw and get a combo time or something like that. Creative Thoughts was played for action draw here. Looks like he probably drew an action off of it because he has to think about what he wants to do now. And now HDU's getting his one of eaches. Seems like one of each will be a slightly stronger chip for Val under this nerf than it was previously, so she can hopefully try and set up to have burst of speed when it will be most effective. Oh, Chumpy's going again, putting a combine on top of his bag with thinking ahead. You know, it appears that he actually, because he managed to get enough money, thinking ahead has worked out as a strong buy for him, because he can at this point reliably buy something useful and that will chain with other things and put it on top of his bag with thinking ahead. Gets him access to those purples a little bit faster. And that's why, even though the combined counts have been pretty equal through this game, ChumpChange has ended up always consistently a little bit ahead of HDU in terms of how combined the pile is. But at the same time, HDU's been emptying his spare pile with pile stuff with Chrome Orb anyways. Now we know that Chumpy has the crash here to survive, because he would have been insane to decide not to play the crash last turn with thinking ahead, then choose thinking ahead over that. So it had to be a bottom bagged crash. Both players breaking their fours at each other, but they both only have one crash outside of Valerie's chromatic orb. So, oh, here's the 8 money that I was talking about earlier, and now Chumpy can get his combo time, which will make a big difference in his deck. I still think ideally both players would like to have a second crash, probably ChumpChange more than HDU at the moment. HDU is doing fine just playing self-improvement all the time. He's, yep, combo time, like I predicted. Oh, got a comment in the chat log from hdu88, another top player of this game. Says he's amazed that neither player has gone for a second crash gem yet, so it looks like both of us are thinking on the same page here, at least. Lots of combining, and ChumpChange obviously needs to cycle his deck. Can he buy a crash gem this turn and put it on top, but thinking ahead? That would be ideal. He has 5 money, and yep, like I predicted, he put the crash gem on top of his bag to ensure that he gets to live.